Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Ray's Reviews. And in today's video, I'm going to attempt to try to build my own Chia mining setup. Before I begin, I just want to let everyone know about what Chia is. Chia is a new type of cryptocurrency that is absolutely going insane in China. And one of the interesting things about Chia is that you mine with it using hard drive space instead of using video or GPUs. So it's creating a massive shortage of hard drives in China and the rest of the world. I wanted to try it out. So I'm completely new to this. I'm gonna go through the setup that I decided to use, but first and foremost, I'd like to say that this is not my build. I actually learned all the information that I did by watching videos from the Bitcoin Miner and Coin Breakthrough, and those are the two videos that really inspired me to do this build. So a lot of the equipment that I use is actually the same equipment that they suggested. But I just want to go through some of the equipment that I'm using today, and you guys can let me know if this is the right equipment or not. So I went with, so first of all, for the motherboard, I decided to go with the Tough Gaming X570 Plus with Wi-Fi. So this is my motherboard of choice. I went with the, in terms of the computer case, I just went with this Rosewill ATX case that was recommended. For the video card, because I'm not a gamer or anything, I just wanted to buy a really cheap video card. So this is probably the shittiest part in this whole setup. It's just a Asus GeForce GT710 that is very cheap, but that's all I needed. A really cheap video card to get the job done. Onto the RAM, so I went with the Trident Z Neo 64 gigabytes. So this is 32 gigabyte times 2. So I wanted to purchase a little bit more RAM. Usually about, I think 32 gigabyte is enough, but I decided to go with a little bit more to future-proof my system. So that's what I decided to go with. In terms of the hard drive selection for the operating system, I just went with this Kingston solid state drive, this 240 gigabytes. This is just to load the operating system. This is not where we're going to be mining the Chia on, and this was a great suggestion, so I decided to use this one. And then onto the CPU processor. So the CPU processor, I went with the Ryzen 3rd gen processor. So this is I went with the AMD Ryzen 9 3900X. Okay, so this was the processor that was recommended by a lot of people for the build, and it was actually hard to find this on Amazon because a lot of these high-powered CPUs are being sold out everywhere. I also picked up this EVGA Supernova 550G Plus. I also picked up this EVGA Supernova 650G Plus. So this is a 650 watt gold power supply that I think the Bitcoin Miner also recommended that I purchased from his link just to check it out. I also picked up a USB flash drive, and this is to basically load up the operating system after this is done. So for the hard drives, I know there's a different recommendations about which is the best type of hard drive to use for the mining. So I did decide to go with the Intel DC PC4510s that were recommended by both the Bitcoin Miner and Coin Breakthrough because these have apparently the longest lasting life, and I really wanted to ensure that instead of spending money on NVMe drives that are about $300, these are about a little bit more expensive. These were about $460 on eBay, but they will last you a lot longer. So I decided to go with these guys. So I picked up a set of two. Now you may think that the hardest part to actually get these drives was to actually find them on Amazon or eBay, but actually the hardest part was trying to explain to my wife what these enterprise hard drives were and why I needed to spend over $1,000 on them. And the conversation did not go well. And finally, the last part is this is a riser card for the video card. So I think I might need to use this one because these two hard drives are going to use the slots for my PCI Express slots. Oh, the other thing that I needed to pick up are these U.2 drives to PCI Express, which I'll show everyone later. And this is to connect it to the motherboard to basically connect these drives, which use a U.2 slot and into this and to plug it in. All right, so I picked up two of these guys as well. Now I also tried to pick up external hard drives, which I want to use for the mining setup. And I tried to purchase these 18 terabyte hard drives from Amazon and Newegg, but they were completely sold out everywhere. Like the wait time was like 2 weeks to 3 weeks. So I opted instead for just this one I found at Costco. It's only at 8 terabytes, unfortunately, but it was the only one I could find. So this is the Seagate one, and I have a couple of these. I'm just gonna attempt to try it out now until my actual 18 terabyte drives arrive. So hopefully it'll go well, and I'm excited to check it out. And I think that was all the equipment that I needed. Obviously, you're also gonna need a keyboard, a mouse, and external monitors to finish the setup. But yeah, I'm really excited to test it out. And once again, unfortunately, I'm an absolute beginner to this, so I'm just trying to see if this setup will work. I'll let you guys know how it goes, and then we'll kind of take things from there. So let's go. Hey guys, so I have completed the PC build, and I'm not going to show you guys exactly what I did, but I am going to link a guide to a step-by-step guide on how to build your own PC that I found was extremely valuable. But I'm just going to point out a couple of things and problems and some things that I might have done a little bit differently with the parts that I had purchased in future endeavors. So the whole process of putting the motherboard, the CPU, the fans on, and kind of connecting the cables was a pretty straightforward process. So there wasn't anything complicated about that. But one thing I wish I had done was I had purchased a case with a little bit better cable management. So I had originally just purchased this regular ATX case because I was going to use the external hard drive method, but it's actually very difficult to navigate within this case, and it's difficult to have good cable management. And there's another problem that I'm going to point out shortly as well. So if you take a look over here at the motherboard, there are two slots for these PCIe X16 slots. So these are the two large ones on this motherboard, and then you also have two of these PCI X1 slots over here. So these are the smaller ones, this one and this one. So because we only have two of these PCI Express X16 slots, I am going to attach the enterprise hard drives with the U.2 adapter to these two slots, which leaves me the only space to attach a video card is using one of these PCI X1 slots that which works, but it's a nightmare from a case management perspective, just because the case is not large enough to sort of do a good amount using this riser cable. So I'm just going to show everyone what I mean, and we'll take a look at it together. All right, so I just want to go over the enterprise hard drives. So these are the Intel SSDs DCP4510 series, the 2 terabytes that I mentioned to everyone earlier in the video. And you'll see it's very, very easy to attach it to these U.2 connectors. And it just kind of slides right in over here. It's extremely easy to put on. And you just basically screw it on to the back like that. So you just put 4 screws there, and it goes on nice and tight. So this was a very, very simple adapter, and this will fit in nicely into our PCIe X16 slots. So your standard riser cable will come with these parts. So this is basically the extension from your PCIe X1 into a PCIe X16, which is this thing over here, which will allow you to basically put on a standard PCIe X16 video card, right? So all you need to do is attach this part, the USB over here, into this slot over here, so it goes in nice and tight over here, and then you're gonna put your video card on here. So you just follow the process. It's very, very straightforward. You're gonna open this part here, this thing here, and you're just gonna put it on just like that, okay? And then that's gonna go in nice and tight, and it'll allow you to basically complete the setup. So I'm gonna just go ahead and do that, and then we'll continue on. And one other thing with the riser card is that there are 3 different places that you can power it. So you can take a look at it. Power it here, you could power it here, and you could power it here as well. So all your power cables through your power supply, it should be pretty easy to figure out which source you want to essentially use. All right, so I'm going to show everyone sort of what I mean. So these 2 PCIe X16 slots, we're going to put our 2 U.2 adapters in, and it's a very simple process. And because this motherboard only has 2 of these PCIe X16 slots, that means we'll need a riser cable to basically plug into either one of these 2 PCIe X1 slots, which are the smaller slots. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, just to show everyone, you know, how pretty much simple the process really is. So if you see, you know, these 2 things here, all we're gonna do is put them, so make sure everyone can see. Just gonna slide them in just like that, and they'll fit in nice and tight. And it's just, you know, very simple process. I'm gonna do the other one as well. If you see the pins here, those 2, this one that is, I'm just gonna try to get my finger. So this first one, the first small pin, it's just gonna go into that very beginning part of the slot, which is right here. I'm just gonna point this out, right there. Okay, and it's basically this one right here. So you just need to line it up, and it's as simple as that. So I just put that second one on as well. So this basically leaves us room to basically put a riser cable, which is this thing over here. And I'm just going to show everyone what this looks like. So this is just my, you know, fairly cheap video card, my GT710, attached to this this riser cable. And I'm just going to show everyone how this riser cable works. So I will do that right now, and I'll show everyone how to plug it in. So coming back to the PC, all I'm going to do, and I apologize, I'm just one person today, is the end of this is just going to plug in to one of your PCIe X1 slots. Okay, so you just have to line it up, and it will go in very straightforward, just like that. So just so everyone can see, we'll just go in like that, and then the setup is essentially complete. I think that is the you know, probably the toughest thing. But as I mentioned, I wish I had gotten you know, a better computer case that's a little bit larger, because it's very difficult to mount this riser cable. And you know, do I put it here? You know, do I put it here? Maybe I'll try to slip it through this enclosure. But that's just something to consider if you're getting like a smaller case, there's not a lot of room to put this. And this cable is actually a little bit loose. This setup is a little bit insecure. Not that this connection is loose, but I obviously don't want to keep my computer case wide open. So, you know, in the future, I think I would just, you know, either purchase just a PCIe X1 video card, which there are some very cheap ones out there, because I don't plan to use this rig for anything other than mining, and all I really need is a video signal. So that's one thing I could potentially do a little bit better next time. And the other thing I could probably do a little bit better next time is actually just to get a little bit of a larger case, just that so that there is more room to maneuver in, and one that has a little bit better cable management. All right, so overall the PC build was a huge success. I didn't find there was anything overly complicated, and it was just really building a regular PC, where there's a step-by-step PC build guide that I'll link in the description below. But I do want to comment on a couple of things if I were to kind of do this build all over again. Things that kind of frustrated me, things that I might have done a little bit differently. The first thing is the case. Because I decided that I was going to mine and store my plots on external hard drives, I decided that I didn't really need a large case, and I just went with a regular small case. So that was a big mistake on my end. I also went with a little bit of a cheaper case that was only about $50. So the first problem is that the cable management is a complete disaster, and you know, when you're kind of going in there, putting in the screws on the motherboard and the CPUs, it's actually a lot harder to maneuver with a smaller case. But the main problem is that because the case is a little bit smaller, there's not a secure place to mount the video card, which ended up becoming a bit of a problem for me, because I didn't really want to leave you know, a video card and a riser cable kind of loose hanging from my case. So just as a reminder, these are the riser cables that will give you that third additional PCIe X16 slot. And the reason I say this is that all it takes is one bad slip. Like if your video card gets unsecure, and you know, this kind of slips in your motherboard, then you could basically short your entire motherboard. So not having a larger case and a secure place to mount this on ended up being a bit of a problem for me. So definitely the case, I would definitely have invested in a larger, more roomier case. I would not cheap out. You know, I'm spending a lot of money on good components. I also want to make sure I invest in a better, higher quality case. So one swap that I did do, which you don't necessarily need to do, is instead of using the riser cable and a regular PCIe X16 video card, I actually decided to swap the video card out with a PCI Express X1 video card, and that's because I only needed video signal, and I'm not going to use it for anything else other than mining and plotting. So this is one swap that you could do. I went with the Zotac GeForce GT710, and because this used only PCIe X1 slot, it was very easy to kind of just put it in the motherboard and have my 2 enterprise hard drives there as well. And then there wasn't any conflict. I didn't need to worry about mounting you know, a video card with a riser cable. So that's one solution that you could possibly do. The other solution that might even be easier is that instead of investing in a motherboard with only 2 PCIe X16 slots, why don't you just spend a little bit more money and invest in one that has 3 PCIe X16 slots, and that will actually solve your problem as well, because then you'll have space for 2 enterprise hard drives plus your standard video card. So those are probably the only things that I would say were you know, a little bit frustrating about the build, but everything else was actually super easy and I didn't have any issues whatsoever. There are some kind of setups that you do need to do with your RAM and kind of the settings to ensure your hard drives aren't kind of falling asleep and the power is always staying on. I'm not going to go through that in this video, but I do recommend you check out the Bitcoin Miner's channel because I learned all this information from kind of watching his videos. He goes through in depth to make sure you have all the proper settings. All right, the second thing that I will say is that I wish I got started earlier. Now, there was a period of time where the Chia network wasn't so exponentially large that it was a lot easier to win Chia. And unfortunately, that opportunity has kind of already passed. As of the time of this video, the size of the network is already over 4 exabytes, and that is very, very significant. So if you're just starting to plot right now, it's it's going to be a lot harder to catch up. And one of my mistakes was that I spent too much time kind of researching on what is the best equipment, what is the best setup to kind of use to basically mine Chia. And all that at the end of the day, while it's important, I mean the variables that are really going to hurt you is the number one, the time when you get kind of started. The sooner the better. The later you start, your probability of winning is obviously a lot lower. And the other thing that I will say is that your other bottleneck is really going to be your hard drive space, right? If you have a decent enough CPU, if you have decent mining equipment, mining hard drives, your bottleneck is going to be hard drive space. How much hard drive space are you willing to invest to kind of get your lottery tickets to kind of win the Chia, right? So that is the thing that you really need to think about. How many plots is enough for you when the network is exponentially growing? You may win with your lottery ticket or you may not, right? So it's very hard to say at this point. In terms of the plotting speed, in terms of kind of my setup, I would say that I'm averaging about 14 plots every 8 hours or so. So I'm able to kind of put out probably about, anywhere from like 25 to 30 plots a day. I could probably push a little bit more or go a little bit lower. But as I mentioned, my bottleneck at the end of the day is not really going to be plotting speed. It's going to be how much hard drive space am I ultimately going to want to invest in to have a chance to win these Chia units. So I'm just going to show kind of my performance so far, and unfortunately it's not very good, but I'll show you guys kind of where I stand exactly right now. So here's my PC, and it looks really cool when it's all kind of set up and lit up. So this was from the build, but in terms of the actual performance, you guys can see that I'm actually at 104 plots right now. The total network space is already 5.164 EIBs, and I have about 10 gigabytes plotted, 104 plots, and I have absolutely zero rewards right now. So absolutely zero profit from this mining setup. So that's one thing that you should definitely consider, because this is like a lottery ticket. At the time of this video, one Chia is $1,400, and if you win, you're gonna win 2 Chia, which is about $2,800, and the cost of my setup was about $2,700 or so. So all it really takes is one win to kind of recuperate the cost of my investment. But it is a lottery ticket. There are people with 10 times as much plots as I have, people that have 1,000 plots and they have not won the Chia units yet. And there are people that have much lower amount of plots that have actually won. So, there's always a chance, but I will say that, the performance, I think I kind of got caught up a little bit too much into the hype, and I kind of forgot what the true definition of success is.
Listen, the key to success in life is to go to school, graduate from a good college, find a 9-to-5 job and work hard at it, and stop mining Chia.
The other thing to consider is that the network is exponentially increasing every single day. So if the longer it takes for you to get started, the harder it is, the lower the probability it is for you to actually win some Chia. So if you are interested, I highly recommend that you get started as soon as possible. And one thing to keep in mind is that there are major Chia farms out there, like in China, where they have hundreds and hundreds of hard drives and they're just mining Chia every day. So those are some of your potential competitors as well. But you know what? I think this was a very, very cool experience. I think the whole concept of the Chia network and kind of everything they stand for is you know, really, really cool. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And you know, we're not a cryptocurrency exclusive channel, unfortunately, but you know, we do love to have you guys to continue to support us. So if you love this video, you know, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you guys again in the next video.
Instead of Chia, you should have bought Dogecoin. I heard that went up a lot.